At Ritual, we know what goes into a magical holiday season. The potluck planning, the gift giving, the spreadsheets. This new year, take a moment for yourself with simple, daily rituals that help you put your foundational health at the top of your to-do list. Ritual's Essential for Women 18 Plus multivitamin is a clinically backed multivitamin featuring 9 high-quality key essential ingredients to help you fill key nutrient gaps in your diet. Or maybe you're stressing your daily protein intake, or you want to double down on support for your gut microbiome. From plant-based essential protein to 3-in-1 pre, pro, and postbiotic strains with Symbiotic Plus, Ritual helps you focus on supporting your body after a long season of juggling everybody else. And for a limited time, do it with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
This is PBA champion Kyle Troop, and you're listening to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. As you know, JP Jr. used to be introduced as the sexiest man in bowling, and now the world. But he doesn't have the best hair in the world. I do. Sorry, bud, but you know the deal. Pick it out. Fear the fro, baby.
Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. A hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the world of bowling. This podcast will not only cover all things bowling, but will also give you a raw look into real-life issues. You'll get unfettered access into the mind of one of the most gifted bowlers of this or any other generation. So without further ado, let's introduce you to the hosts of the show. Rad Rob, Rob Francois. Rad Rob, Rob Francois. Dr. Ocho. Dr. Ocho. And the incomparable Johnny Petraglia Jr. Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Hey guys, welcome back to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. I'm your host, Rad Rob, Rob Francois. What's going on, everybody? This is episode number 81. We are talking about the man once again, Troy Lint, who I'm sure will be here shortly. Humble as always, but we're gonna brag him up. So, but without further ado, because I do a lot, and I have a lot to do, let's introduce our co-host. He is the man with the shiniest mask in bowling. He's also very nice and cool right now. In sunny Ochoville, straight from his pool once again, Dr. Ocho. Good evening, sir.
Say, Rob, what's, I was thinking about this. So we've done Unfettered. We've done, we've had No Ado. We've had a bunch of ados. We've been Raw. Have we ever been, is there any factual evidence that we're cutting edge?
Do you know any other bowling podcast doing what we do?
What is it that we're doing besides destroying the sport that we love? Unintentionally. Just kidding, Rob. That's a joke. Thank you for being here, for being back from the dead. Thank everybody. We're doing poolside chats. Dr. Ocho, chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool, and all floating in the pool outside at the school. Except there's no school. Because I got no class. Bring the other guy in. Let's go. I ain't got time for this.
Good evening, Nico, Lynn, and Brian. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being here. Let's welcome the third man of the team. He's the man with the name on the marquee. He is number 7 in your programs, number 1 in your hearts, the sexiest man in the world, Mr. Johnny Petraglia. My hat is sideways, Junior. What's going on, Johnny?
I didn't feel like doing my hair today. That's what's going on.
That's fair.
And by the way, Ocho's flexing routine is getting better and better with each episode that goes by. We're getting good angles here. I actually like the rear bicep. You should incorporate more rear double bicep in your opening from now on.
More traps, too.
The peaks
are doing some work.
I need the wide angle, man. I can't help it, you know?
I'm a trap guy, too. More traps. We need more traps.
I don't know if he can get much more traps than that.
I was told I was catching bears in some of these traps.
Dave Peacow, Stephen Block, Stephanie Sheridan, all the way from sunny Florida on vacation. Hello, Stephanie.
And still figures out a way to come and watch the show.
Of course, she's a pro. Ian Lang, what's going on?
The only guy who has bigger guns than Ocho, Ian Lang. Hi, Val. Man, everybody's piling in this week. We better give him a decent, good show here. My God.
Well, we couldn't beat last week. Last week was a banger. Thank God.
Speaking of last week, how are you feeling?
I'm much better, thank you.
Yeah, last week.
You certainly look better.
JP.
I'm about 98% better, which is about 65% better than everybody else. So there you go.
And 60%
There's my
of the
PBA
time,
doubles partner, Chris.
Works 70% of the time, all the time.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, honestly, well, JP, how are you feeling? Speaking of last week, I mean, shit, that was a.
There
was a fun show. A friend of the show texted me and said, "Man, looked like you guys were having a good old time." And I said, "Yes, we did."
Yeah, we were.
We do. That's what we do here on Straight Up 5.
Listen, if I'm going to get really, really loaded, I may as well do it in the comfort of my friend's home when I've only been back from Vegas for a few days after a 12-year hiatus. So
That's true.
It felt like the absolute best time to do it.
That's what we do, because that is your
Dave?
home. It's always your home there, my friend.
Chris, Leslie, Mazel, Bill, what's going on, everybody? Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you all for being here this evening. Let's not waste any time, Johnny. Do you want to talk about the good news, or do you want to jump into the imbecile first? Which do you want? Do you want the fun stuff first, or I mean, it's all fun, but
I'll let you
pick.
This week, the imbecile happens to actually tie in with something that's not only been going on all year on the senior tour, but it actually ties in with what's happening this week at the Bud Moore Players Championship in Drainsville.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm in somewhat of a mood this evening, so we could start out with ripping on somebody who deserves to be ripped on, although I won't be able to see the post since I'm on this computer. But let's give it a shot.
All right, fair enough. Here we go.
Give it a shot.
It's time for everybody's favorite segment.
If you guys don't know how to use a seatbelt, just ring your call button and Tommy will come back there and hit you on the head with a tack hammer.
You know, Lloyd, just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.
Here's the imbecile of the week.
Some people are really stupid.
And this person tonight is very fucking stupid. So let's just let's get right into it.
Wait, time out before we go into it.
Yeah.
This is courtesy of Stephanie. Stephanie's the one that identified this one, and it was way too good and simultaneously shitty to pass up. So
yes, our resident historian and statistician and just all around good person shared up with this one. So throw it up here. This comes from a post from Tom Clark, the PBA commissioner. Who?
Wait a minute, you got to go to the first picture that I sent you first, so they could see what the actual post was.
Oh, balls! That means I have to go back and save that.
That's okay.
Let me go back. There we go. Found it. Hold on. Download.
Excellent.
Downloading. Adding.
So while he's doing that, guys, this was a post made.
I got it.
Good. Excellent.
Boom.
Excellent. I like that I can see me and we can't see Ocho right now. That's fantastic.
Hell of a setup.
That is pretty awesome. So Tom Clark posted high drama last night in the championship match at the PBA 50 Morgantown Classic, a duel between Troy Lint and Tom Hess, as seen on Bowl TV. To which our imbecile of the week replied in the comments, "Both gentlemen have league bowler roll on their ball. Not impressed."
Shakira wrote that?
Shira Lavinge.
I bet you her hips lie.
Which is funny because a lot of guys in the chat thought it was a dude. So I went to her profile because I am a broadcast journalist and I do investigative reporting. Stalker. And it's a chick. So Shira Lavinge does not believe that Troy or Tom throw the ball very well. They're just average league bowlers. Johnny, I know you've been chomping a bit to talk about this. So what say you?
I don't know if this statement makes perfect sense in this context, but to me, chivalry is like not 100% dead. So I'm going to lay off calling this particular person names because it's not a guy. But first off, I mean, anybody with half a brain understands how idiotic this post is because, first of all, I don't even know what league bowler role is. I mean, obviously, the general consensus, I think, in that statement implies the guy that bowls once a week, that drinks beer and averages between 170 and 180 and occasionally pops off a 220 and probably has a high game in their lifetime of, say, 276. And they're probably the same person that says, oh, I was so close to a 300, even though they missed in the first frame. It's probably somebody like that. That would be my assumption of where they're going with. Both of these guys have league.
And let me just jump in real quick, because
impressed.
even a league bowler can tell when someone rolls the ball properly, because the release is different. The finger grips look different. The revs are different. The way it hits is different. Same with a golf swing. You can tell if a guy's an amateur by scooping it, or if a guy knows what he's doing by hitting down through the ball. Even a league bowler can tell that. So she's already off. She is not Shakira. Her hips do lie. Take it away.
First off, I don't understand. There is no such thing as professional ball roll anymore. I mean, obviously it's thumb outside of the fingers, elbows close to the body, pretty much forward rather than around it. Don't thumb it down. Don't chicken wing it, which all of those are pretty prevalent in the majority of league bowlers, which I guess I understand to some extent. But could you have picked any two worse guys to say they have league to that like you're taking the extreme front runner in his rookie season on the PBA 50 tour and two-time winner this year and third place finish in another major, plus he's in the top 5 this week. Not to mention he didn't just win the title last week. He ran the ladder last week against a star-studded field. And I hate to say it in case anybody hasn't been watching the senior tour, the senior tour is fucking stacked. I mean, all you got to do is go look at the top 24 this week. I mean, for Christ's sake, Andres Gomez is on the goddamn senior tour now. Not to mention guys like Amleto and Brad Angelo and Pete Weber, Tom Hess and Troy, Parker Bone. I mean, the names are just absolutely endless.
Still the tour, technically.
It is the tour, yeah. I mean,
because these guys are competitive still.
Yep.
But the thing that really I was really confused with is the next thing that they posted in response. If you pull up the thread again, at the bottom now the person tries to continue. No, go back to the previous poach, the previous one. At the bottom there, it says, now somebody says Tom Hess is super competitive at all levels. Yeah, not to mention, and he's like a legend on the senior tour now. He's unstoppable on the senior tour with the exception of Troy's season this year. But the other guys that are in the top 5 every week are Barnes, Hess, Brad Angelo. They're there every single week. So Shearer goes on to say that Tom Hess has bowled hundreds of tournaments and won only one on the national tour. Hell, Michael Tang has also won once on the national tour, and that says everything.
That says nothing.
So now they're saying Michael Tang has league bowler role. Michael Tang's got one of the most beautiful releases the sport's ever seen. I mean, Richie Wolf had one of the greatest releases the sport's ever seen, and Richie Wolf doesn't have a national PBA title. There are tons of guys that either way, however you look at it, first of all, there are people that have success that have success on tour more so than others that don't have the quote unquote normal ball roll. And here's a perfect example: Ryan Schaefer, or for the majority of players from the Buffalo area, it's known as the trick roll from the Buffalo area. Ryan Schaefer's ball, when you look at it, doesn't really look like he's dead up the back of it. But Ryan Schaefer will kick the living shit out of 98% of the people on the planet pretty much every single week that he goes out there. But to look at Troy Lint, and now we're not talking about just a random guy that's like, ooh, the purple hammer made him good. Troy Lint is out there out averaging the field by 5 to 10 pins every single week. And that field, if you look at the other lefties in the field, it's like, does Parker Bone have league bowler ball roll? How about Jason Couch? How about Michael Haggett, newly crowned champion this year? And I know I'm missing a bunch of other lefties that I can be including in this batch. Mike Diaz. All of these guys are the greatest bowlers in the world, especially guys like Parker and Couch, and they can't keep up with Troy. So now you're telling basically by this comment, every single bowler that goes in bowls league once a week that their ball roll is better than Troy Lint's. Now let's talk about Tom Hess. Tom Hess is like one of the deadliest bowlers in the world. And the greatest thing about both Tom Hess and Troy Lint is their confidence levels are through the roof, especially competing against the senior guys. Before I go off on a tangent, David, if you watch Ryan Schaefer, Ryan Schaefer's ball almost looks like it's looking away from the pins longer than it looks at the pins. And what I mean by that is if you ever watch old school vintage Ryan Schaefer videos, and even now, Ryan was always the master at getting a ball to hook on patterns, especially down lane, that most bowlers couldn't get the ball to tip over. Very similar to Pete Weber, but on the opposite end of the spectrum. Pete Weber's 90 degrees of axis tilt makes his ball face the pins extremely, extremely hard. Pete Weber leaves a lot of stone 9 pins because of it. Ryan Schaefer his trick roll has always allowed his ball to get through the front part of the lane and corner down lane, especially on
Yeah, he
oil
does
patterns that
stay
usually
under the
disallow
ball.
people
When you
from
mentioned
playing
him, I
that
started
zone.
watching him. He stays, I know he's got a low, but he's always very under the
Oh,
ball
yeah.
and up the back of the ball, and he gets it started. It almost like starts like right up.
Yeah, you can almost see the fingers
You see,
really, really looking away from
it's
the
a
pocket for a
flying
longer
saucer
period of
like
time.
almost like, you know, and then all of a sudden the ball tracks, but with that energy that it's stored getting through the heads. I think I'm saying it right.
Absolutely. And what John Sperone just said is actually, if this person would have come on here and said Mike Scroggins has league bowler ball roll, not impressed, I could at least somewhat relate to that. But it still doesn't take away from Mike Scroggins'
And a
extreme
5-year
talent
run,
in the
man, that was
sport.
freaking pretty damn good.
Multiple PBA majors. I mean, but the whole statement itself doesn't make any sense because there is really no such thing as the right ball
And
roll,
if the pins go
especially
down,
in
what the
today's
hell?
game. There are
It's not like he's tripping up the.
exactly, and not to mention,
luckily, there's no. You know, we get a break or two, but like, you know, especially when I watched like the way Troy freaking comes out of the ball. My God, like he's hitting that freaking thing.
yes, David, that's exactly what it is. And the migration path of the ball combined with the tilt factor. Yes, absolutely. But the thing about it is this person, Shakira or whatever her name is, decided to pick not only two of the best bowlers in the world right now, but like two of the best ball rolls on tour, two of the like best physical games on tour. Troy is basically what Jason Couch was 20 years ago, but he's 50. So like that's one thing. And not to mention Troy's main goal, if you ever see Troy make a bad shot when you're watching, he's always doing that shovey thing. He's trying to like make sure that his brain knows not to tip around the side of it. He's going out of his way to not throw it like a league bowler. And Tom Hess, I can't tell you the last time Tom Hess grabbed the shot at the bottom of the swing. Tom is so committed to every single shot he throws, which is why he hits what he's looking at near every single time. So at least this guy, Frank, had the decency to try and
explain it.
Like, be nice to this person and let him down gently.
I wonder if that Shakira was the one who laughed at her own comment on Facebook. She probably was like, "Oh, this is funny. I'll do the laugh emoji, just so."
Yeah, I like that Frank then continues to go and say, "You have to be concussed to actually believe that." How many titles do you have? After Shira says they leave without their shoes. So again, to me, I just find it hysterical. Like, I mean, I get it. I get the whole competitive nature, especially in team sports. Like if you're I'm a diehard Met fan that hates the Yankees, you're not going to go out and brag about how good Aaron Judge is, right? You're going to go out and you're going to try and talk shit about Aaron Judge, but it's more of like a team atmosphere. There's a big following. There's a whole shitload of people that want to hate one side as opposed to the other. You get, a team like the Jets, and now who's going to lead the Jets? Who's going to play quarterback this year? I mean, like, I get all of that bullshit, but like when it's all said and done, this is bowling. This is an individual sport, and to me, it's just not only idiotic, but like you're legitimately going out of your way to demean the.
And it's so easy to prove them wrong too. Like that's what I mean with the team sport. You'd almost have to debate. Be like, well, is that true? Maybe freaking Zach Wilson will get a shot this year because it's so. But like in this instance, I mean, you're just so wrong. Even though it's your opinion, it's wrong because the facts say otherwise.
And the other thing about it is they were talking about Tom Hess only having one title on the tour. With all due respect, guys, how many years has Tom Hess actually bowled on the national tour? And not to mention, he won the Masters when I think he was, 40? So it's not like Tom Hess has been out there since he was 18. Tom had a good job in Iowa and a family that he still goes out of his way to say the second his bowling ball is done for the tournament and he has the opportunity to go see Sue or go home.
Which is more impressive then because it's like, you know what, maybe I'll go bowl this week,
See, like, Sperone just proved my point here. Aaron Judge looks like a butthead on steroids. Nowhere in there is John Sperone saying Aaron Judge is not talented. He's just busting his chops, right? It'd be like somebody saying, "Yeah, Mike Trout's last name reminds me of a fucking fish that I wouldn't eat, loser." You're not going to doubt how many home runs that Mike Trout hits or how fantastic of a player he is.
That's a great analogy that you just gave right there. That's such a great analogy because he kind of does look like Butthead a little bit, and but he's not denying it.
Yeah,
He hit
he does.
62 home runs last year.
Yeah, I'm not denying that he hit 62 dingers and that he's like 6'7" and his swing is as gentle as it comes, and he still hits 450-foot bombs
without diminishing their talent. You're damn right, dude. Great point. It's fettered, but it was a great point.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's like, just like go look at the top 24. Look at how many collective titles. Right now, at this week's Bud Moore Classic or the Players' Championship, Tom Hess and Troy Lint are in 4th and 3rd place going into the last 12 games of match play tomorrow. If you counted up the PBA titles that are behind them in the top 24, it's astronomical. I mean, just Pete and Parker alone, that's 80 PBA titles. Just those two. Now let's throw in Amleto, that's 100. I don't even know who the hell else is in there that I'm missing right now that are below him. But you're not only saying that these guys' league bowler ball roll is not impressive, you're also saying that their unimpressive ball roll is like light years better than the sports elite and legends that have been in the game for 30 and 40 years. So, yeah, that's a great liner right there. I love the idea of social media, but I absolutely despise the idea that social media allows all of these ingrate rat bastard fucking sons of bitches to voice their opinion. These are the same. Yes. Exactly.
Well, the problem is, Johnny, any asshole with a keyboard can say whatever they want now. And I'm a big part of the wrestling community as well. And if you go on Twitter, and it's such a bubble, like nobody outside of the bubble knows anything about what's going on. But it's the wrestling bubble, and you have all these fucking nerds in their basement.
Or in their pool.
Getting on Twitter and saying whatever they want about people that they would never even say, if they had a chance to say it to their face, they would piss their pants. Yet they feel ballsy enough to just type on their phone or their computer stupid shit.
But the ID vanish thing, too. That's how they get away with it. Sorry to cut you off.
Yes.
And this is the worst part, Rob. I oftentimes think, and this is where I actually feel bad for the keyboard warriors. You really, really got to be... There was Sebastian Maniscalco did a comedy sketch where he was talking about selfies. The new craze with selfies. Everybody's taking selfies. Like, you call it a selfie? I call it taking a lonely. He goes, you know how fucking lonely you got to be that you can't find somebody to take a picture of you?
And then you got to
find that hysterical.
And then you got
so
to
these
blast
keyboard,
it on your Instagram, your freaking Facebook, your Twitter.
Right. But these keyboard warriors, it's almost like they're legitimately trying to write something that they know is going to make people like us talk about them. And what sucks is it works. We're talking about Shira right now because she wrote the most asinine thing you could possibly write about two really fantastic, sensational bowlers, one of which, who's not only kicking everybody's ass this year, he is kicking everybody's ass so bad this year that, like, now it's not even a contest for him to win Player of the Year. It's not even a question at this point, especially if he makes the show this week, because you know he's going to make at least one show in Florida. So, I don't know. I hate that we give these people at least the.
Well, I think they tried to like deal with her and explain it, you know, in the factual manner, and she wasn't having it with the whole like they'll forget their shoes comment. That's when you knew she was just out to pasture. She wasn't really. And by the way, Rob just took his first selfie. They didn't have a Popeye sign behind him, so that's going to be all over Twitter. Nice. He's posting it right now. Look at him. He's actually posting it right now. My phone just buzzed.
Attaboy, Looper.
I'm sorry, talking to
me. But yeah, so that's kind of my 2 cents on that. And I really want to thank Steph for finding that for me, because that one at least had some substance where we could talk a little bit about at least where we think that person's coming from. So real quick, I'm going to go off subject here because this is kind of a surprise to me, which I'm extremely, extremely humbled by. And it's also unfortunate that I'm not going to be able to make it to Florida, Jeff. I'm an officiant. I can wed people. So I did my sister's wedding, and I was asked to officiate a wedding on August 26th. So I will be the guy in charge of making sure the two folks say I do, and it's one of our regulars on here, Mr. JD Santalucia and Brandy Mulvaney. So I will be in New Jersey on August 26th. So I don't want to come down to Lakeland for 2 days. It's a little bit It's a little bit too much money for too short of a trip. So that's going to cut my and as far as the villages and the other things like that, I may pop down earlier in August, even though my dad's not going to be there, because to go see Mike Val down in the villages. But other than that, that was some really, really great news. So I'm super, super excited to do that. But yeah, in closing, for the imbecilic comment, courtesy of Shira, is I think we should rephrase imbecile of the week with like biggest asshole of the week. It's just simply because it's usually somebody who's going out of their way to make our sport, to basically to demean our sport more so than the world already is. We already hear about enough bowling alleys closing, and we hear about that even the ones that are open are just money hungry and savages and shit like that. So the last thing we need is for, if half of the professional bowlers want to kneel for the national anthem, you could say all the fucking shit that you want. And I'm obviously making a comparison to another fucking sport, and I don't give a fuck about what's between your legs or if you're offended by that or not. I think it's fucking gross taking a knee. I'm obviously calling out the soccer team. So, like, if you want to fucking get on social media and bitch about half the bowlers kneeling during the national anthem, you go right ahead and do that, and I'll be on your side. But if you want to sit down and you just legitimately want to go and try and rip apart somebody would not only kick your ass 98 out of 100 games and take every dollar you ever had, but also two guys who dedicate their entire lives in every single aspect to the sport. Tom Hess has dedicated his life to bowling. Troy Lint has dedicated changing his life and rededicating it to bowling. And they all have their exact reasons why they do it, just like anybody else at any pinnacle level, in any aspect, in any walk of life, and anything that they do. So to me, it's fucking gross that people have nothing better to do than shit on people that they're just flat out jealous of, that they can't do what they do. And now I'm venting, and now I don't even give a shit about Shira.
Your hips fly like a motherfucker.
That's for you, John Spro. All right, let's move on. I want to share my screen here because this is more important to talk about here.
Okay.
Add source, share.
Or like what Brett said, ignorant statement of the week.
If you want to pay for a new intro, then yeah, sure, we can do that.
Okay, or ass hat of the week. That one's a good too.
This costs money. I can't just pull intros out of my ass.
Oh, and Rich, by the way, good to see you too, man. I don't think Dad will be able to get there on the 20th, and I don't want him to watch how poorly I'm going to bowl. So, yeah.
So this is what's more important. Troy Lint stays hot, wins the PBA 50 Morgantown Classic. And we were just talking about last week. Should Troy, and I know it's between a couple others, but I mean, at this point, Troy Lint is the front runner, right, for Player of the Year?
He was the front runner before the Morgantown win. I would say the closest second would have been John Janowitz. I know that obviously Tom Hess and Brad Angelo, Chris Barnes are all having fantastic seasons, but the closest was, I believe, John Janowitz. And John did not make the top 24 this week, so that separation grows a little bit more. And you got to remember, Troy is leading in the three primary categories. He's leading all three of them. He's leading in earnings, he's leading in victories, and he's leading in average. So that's like basically the triple crown of bowling when you compare it to baseball statistics. So at this point, first off, wins always trump everything, especially since one of them is a major and he has a third at the Masters. I don't know if the Budmore Players Championship is a retroactive major. Hi, Dave. I don't know if it's considered a major or not. But if it is, now he's going to be somewhere. If he doesn't make the show at Bud Moore's house, he's certainly going to be in the top 10. There's no way he's getting out of there. Nico, 100%. I would say JJ is Rookie of the Year, 100% on that. I spot on there. Which, by the way, while you have this picture up, it took me a little while to figure out that shirt, but those are monkeys. And I'm pretty sure it's the See No Evil, Hear No Evil, Say No Evil, which I think is a pretty badass shirt now that you look at it, because one's got their ears covered, one's got their eyes.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I didn't realize that either, but
something tells me that had something to do with Ryan Shaver, because he's got some of the most creative jersey ideas out there. So I think it's awesome. But what did you want to talk about as far as
how fucking awesome he is? Really, I mean, let's just dedicate the rest of the time to talk about how fucking great Troy Lint is.
Well, it's one of those runs that you only dream about. I mean, the first person that would tell you they never expected this would be Troy. You can't go out there against those guys when you haven't spent any time on the national tour. You don't even have time to get your fucking feet wet. And he's out there just
Hey,
mowing
should we
them
go
down
back like 2
every
months
single
ago and
week.
say that you
And I
predicted
watched,
this, by the way? Like, you legit started predicting this. You were like, Troy's got something clicking that I've seen, and he's going to go on a tear. And you predicted he would win one. He'd win a tournament. He won, and then he hasn't kept his foot off the gas since.
You're right.
It was about 8 weeks ago.
all you need in this sport, aside from a general idea of how to bowl and a general idea of the basics, is you need a brain. The best brains on tour win the most. And the best brains come from just a little push of extra confidence. That's all Troy ever needed. And our late great friend Mike Marcus was the person that made sure that Troy, before his untimely death, he was the one that made sure
he's the
Troy
catalyst
went out
for
there.
all this.
Absolutely. Like, I'm going to give you a prime example because he just popped in the chat. Mike Harder and I, we used to bowl together in Vegas, and we used to play golf together in Vegas. We spoke about him going out on the senior tour. We were playing around somewhere in Vegas with David Haynes, and he had talked about going to bowl a senior tour. Mike is having a year that is a good season. Mike went out there and has had some cashes. He's made some top 24s. He's led some squads. He's knocked on the door for some TV shows. That is an excellent introductory full season on tour, the year that Mike is having. So kudos to you, Mike, by the way. The year that Troy is having right now is like, imagine EJ Tackett this past year was his first year on tour. That's the kind of year Troy's having on the senior tour, because I don't give a shit that they're 50 years old, guys. The senior tour, the batch of the guys at the top, is as big as the batch on the national tour that kicks everybody's ass. There's approximately 10 names on the national tour that you expect in the field of 5 every single show. There are 10 ladies, a batch of 10 ladies, 5 of which you expect on the show at every PWBA stop. And there's about a batch of 10 to 12 seniors, 5 of which you expect on the ladder at every senior stop. It's the year that he is having is similar to as if it was EJ's first year on the national tour. EJ had 5 wins, 2 of them were majors. Troy so far has 2 wins. He's got a 3rd place finish at the Masters, and he's in contention to make the show with the Players, which I believe is a major, and he's still got the TSC around the corner at the end of the month. This is the kind of season, again, that you just eat. Troy said it best in a text message. He said, dude, I'm just riding the wave, and I hope it never stops. And obviously, someday, everything that is up will eventually go down. He looks like fucking Mount Olympus right now. I can't take him right now. What are you doing? Are you taking a selfie?
Troy is dealing with a knee issue, too. Like, he's in so much pain. He even mentioned that in this article. Like, he was doubled over in pain, but I mean, he still is able to push through it and kick everyone's ass. I mean, that's so much heart and grit and tenacity.
That's a mental thing too, because a knee in particular, like, imagine when you come out of the bathroom and you stick on your first throw, you're screwed for like the next 5 throws. If you think something's going to grab you, it throws so many things off. So to be able to like take this 6-inch field and block that out is something that not many. That's the 1%er of the 1%er that can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks to David Kepke and Jeff Skyers for confirming that this is a major as well. And with additional prize money at the top. And obviously the luxury of bowling inside Bud Moore's home. For those of you that don't know, this tournament is contested on Bud Moore's bowling lanes inside of his house. It's a beautiful, beautiful facility attached to several other things that you can do at his house. And
worthy, like that would be so damn.
I think it eventually will be if it's not already local news, because
let it run its course, because that's a cool friggin' thing right there.
If we had 15 more people in this sport like Bud Moore, this sport would be thriving. It wouldn't be depleting. It's really awesome. And what's great about it is he's still got the old telescores with the wax pencils.
Awesome. That's
the grease pencils. Yeah, he incorporated a little bit of the retro look, and now what he does is he hangs the banners of all the winners of his tournament and his favorite pros on the walls, lining the sides. He's got his father's license plate as the masking
cool.
unit. It's a really, really.
Bro, your dad has
facility.
two tournaments named after him this year. That's how badass your dad is.
He does. They named the BVL Tournament of Champions. JD, you missed me talking about being your officiant.
What up, JD?
He has the BVL at the new Laspina Center at Coconut Bowl in Lakeland, which is awesome. You know, Dad's lifelong friend and confidant and whatever else you want to call him. I call him Uncle John. The entire Laspina family has been as close as family gets, and they also gave him a name pattern along with Monticelli and Ballard earlier in the year.
Let's look at the scoring here while you're talking.
I don't know if you'll be able to because the PBA wants the round completion. I think you can click on each individual name and see the scores that they shot. But to give you first off, I can tell you right there that Parker must have had a massive second block because I think he was down in like 16th, and to jump up 8 spots and tighten it up that much, look for Parker to make the top 5. Even though he's 140 pins out with 12 games, that's absolutely nothing. But yeah, it's very tricky to find the scores once the round is completed, which is a shame. But like, just look at the names in here. I mean, Bill Rowe, you have the Canadian champion, one of the best bowlers to ever grace the lanes. You got obviously one of the greatest of all times leading the pack, who bowled 300 against Troy in game 12 of match play today, by the way. Tom Hess, just there every week. Obviously, Troy. You got Brad Angelo, another guy who is there every single week. Rockin' Ryan Schaefer. I mean, Jeff Johnson, not so much a name that you recognize like the other ones, but a sensational player and one of the ball reps for the Brunswick brands out there. So after taking care of himself, he's in charge of making sure everybody else's look is good. Right behind him, no words needed, Parker Bone III, Chris Barnes, newly 50-year-old senior player Andres Gomez, 3-time champion on the regular tour. Dan Knowlton, who won his first title this year. For those of you that don't know Tom Adcock, I don't think he's missed a cut all season long for like the last 3 years. I wish Tom would make more shows. He's such an awesome bowler. John Rakowski, I'm pretty sure he won his first title this year. The first International Hall of Fame induction, Amleto Monticelli. Everybody that used to bowl anything knows both Kip and Trip Roberts, especially from World Team Challenges. Darryl Bauer, Eastern Region, I believe, Player of the Year at least once. Bobby Hall II, I always tease Bobby because I think he'd rather be playing Big Buck Hunter rather than bowling, but there he is. Can't believe he's 50. Lackawanna, New York's finest, Jack Jurek. I don't know Greg Turner, Jeff Keller, but both impressive to watch today. Mike Diaz, always knocking on the door, is several-time senior champion. Newly crowned champion Michael Haggett. James Campbell having a sensational year. And Brian Poger, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are, but congratulations making the top 24. And like Ricky Smith just said, this looks like, I look at these guys and I'm like, these guys are 50? That's like, crazy. How old am I now? This is insane that these guys are 50.
I'm 47, so yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
But yet, according to Shira, Tom Hess and Troy Lint have league bowler role. So I almost want to write back, okay, so what do Angelo, Schaefer, Bone, Barnes, Monticelli, what kind of role do they have then? You know, I'm not
JP,
sure.
You're a league bowler. I mean, well, fuck it. Hell, Simo's a league bowler for crying it. I mean, like, we can really split hairs, but I mean,
at least I'm more a league bowler role because when I go out and bowl on regular tour shit, I have a very, very hard time because I'm used to bowling in league. So the comment doesn't even make sense. I'm not even sure Tom Hess or Troy Lint have bowled league in the last 6 years. It doesn't even make sense to me. Again, I fucking hate it, so I can't stand that comment. It was so shitty. When Steph sent it to me, I literally almost flipped my chair. I said, these people are getting more gross by the minute.
I believe it. Let's move into our final segment. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
It's now time for the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Did Ocho drown? Ocho's pecs are a flotation device, so he can never drown. He just has to go over to his back, and he's fine. He can float all night.
It is kind of scary that his whole screen's black, unless he's just got his hand there and he's playing.
Well, it's 8:46 now in Ochoville, so it's the sun's gone down. I think that's.
It's also 8:46 in Johnnyville now.
It is.
What's so weird is I actually walked over to my computer at 4:45 and then 4:50, and both times I had to tell myself it's
right.
3 more hours, man.
I almost remind you, I'm like, no,
up.
he's not that retarded. So good on you for well, I mean,
it was. You shouldn't use that word, Rob. It's not acceptable.
Retarded as well. So my good, and Ocho's going to appreciate this one whenever he gets back. And Johnny, you're very familiar with this as well. We here in Middle Tennessee are getting a Wawa, and it's going to be like 2 miles from my house.
Oh, I would be jealous if I was still on the West Coast, but I'm so thrilled that you get to experience Wawa.
I've been there a few times. Obviously, I mean, I've been there several times when I lived back in Connecticut, but I went to one recently last year. I want to say it was somewhere in Virginia or somewhere maybe, but yeah, no, we're getting one. It's going to be right near the house, and that place is just fantastic. Anybody doesn't know what Wawa gas station is? Yeah. It's so good. Their drinks, their food. I mean, it's
the closest comparison I've ever seen to a Wawa ever is Sheetz. For those of you in like the Midwest or even Pennsylvania, for that matter, it's the only one that I'd say is even remotely close.
And we're getting a Buc-ee's as well next year.
I don't even know what that is. All I know is I see a lot of people wearing Buc-ee's T-shirts, and I used to think it said Busey.
The place is huge. There's about 120 gas pumps, and inside it's just like a fucking mall. Like, it's a huge store. They sell merch, all kinds of different food, brisket, pulled pork. Just the place is literally, it's probably
and they don't allow truckers. They're literally discriminating against truckers. People who drive.
It's like 20,000 square foot, dude. It's stupid. Yeah, Buc-ee's brisket is fantastic.
Truckers are boycotting it, so it's going to go down.
All right. Well, I've personally never even seen one, so when I see one, I'll make sure I bring a trucker there.
They're in based out of Texas, and they're in the Southeast. They're opening up all over the Southeast. So maybe they'll venture up north eventually. But Ocho, I don't know if you heard, I'm getting a Wawa, and I'm super excited.
Oh my God!
By the way, I leave Vegas, so I leave my West Coast mom, Phyllis, and meanwhile I'm gonna go have lunch with her in the fucking Poconos, 40 minutes from Steph's house on Monday because she's flying in.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Assuming she gets on her flight, because she's taken the same flight that they canceled on me twice. She's supposed to be leaving tomorrow, so fingers crossed that they don't pull that same bullshit that they pulled with me.
Rob getting a Wawa wasn't an unfettered moment, because that's literally like going to be groundbreaking. Do you understand what the? Oh, first
You'll
of all,
never want to leave, man.
Wait, when is it coming?
It's coming in a few months. It's gonna be like 2 miles from my house.
Right when the freaking turkey bowls hit, right when the gobblers hit. The gobblers start in September. That's turkey, mashed potatoes. I always get sweet potatoes. You can get mashed regular, cranberry sauce, gravy, and freaking stuffing.
I do mashed, Rob.
Right?
No, I shouldn't.
I swear to God, I'm known.
Yeah, it's like getting for.
I know, like, turkey bowl season.
No, everybody knows. It's all about the turkey bowl. See you, Brett.
See you, Brett. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, it's like getting the Bobby from Capriati's, for those of you West Coast peeps that know about that sandwich. All right, I know that, Rob, you got to keep the show to an hour tonight because your kids got school tomorrow. Week. I'm so happy right now. I remember the years real quick of like my mom right now around this point. John, it's time to get ready for bed. You got school tomorrow.
Most stressful
just the thought
moment
of hearing
ever.
her say that to me right now.
Yeah, it sucks.
Oh, God, it was the worst.
All the time, no matter how prepared you are.
All right, Phil. Good to hear.
So what do you got? Anything good, Johnny? I mean, obviously you're in Pennsylvania. You're with Stephanie and Eric, or we're not.
That's obviously the best is I get to start my back east journey with two of literally the most loving people you could possibly come across, taking me in with open arms, and so like that's obviously one of my really, really good goods. The other ones for me is I purchased a 3-month gym membership at this like hardcore gym that's 7 minutes away. So I actually went in and paid the 3 months. No bullshit. I'm like, I don't want to pay $7 a day or $50 a month. So I'm all signed up for the gym. I was allowed to transfer to the East Coast and not only keep my job, but keep my same work schedule. So I'm still overnight, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. rather than having to switch to 1 to 9. And other than that, I committed to a full-time league. So since I'm off Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and one of my main reasons for coming home was to be closer to mom and dad, I committed to a league at Howell Lanes at Dad and Parker's. Yep. So I'll be driving in on Mondays to bowl that league, which is about a 2.5-hour hike from here. The league is done at 9:15. I'll go back to mom and dad's house, clock into work for 10, and then I get to play golf with JD on Tuesday, go visit Ocho to do pretty much every show moving forward, at least for a while. On
Dude, you got the
Wednesday
best of
with
both
him.
worlds, really.
Yeah, so I got a really, really nice run of family and like close lifelong friends, at least until the winter months come, and then JD and I'll have to figure out something else to do on Tuesdays. So that's definitely my good. Is every single one of my days is surrounded by awesome
That's fantastic.
people.
Ocho, what's your good?
His arms. I know that, first off, I've never heard Ocho say that he's going to the gym, and he's always busy with work and his children and his wife. But somehow every week
They do.
his arms get
Angles, man, angles.
So like
angles.
it's not a joke, dude. Like
Shadows,
I don't know if it's the
all
lighting
shadows.
or whatever
No,
it
the
is,
peaks,
or maybe
you can't.
But the peaks just like kind of
Yes, they
keep
do.
Dude,
stretching.
you saw him in real
They
time,
just-
man.
and
It's
Roger,
all, it's all
please,
mirrors.
I
It's all
wanna-
smoke and mirrors. Trust me. It ain't, and I'm on a year and a half. February of 2022 was my last workout, and I'm damn proud of it. But my good
That's
is
crazy.
that one of my awesome friends is going to be here on Wednesdays doing this show, apparently.
Yeah, that's
No,
yes,
that was.
I
that
will
was,
be there
I'm
next
and
Wednesday.
It's
I'm
just
going to
like,
be.
it's such a even quarantine lady. She's got a mini crush on the guy, which I don't blame her. But like, he's this guy's the most down to earth, the least judgmental human being. Such an open book, awesome conversation, and that's what I mean. What do? We talked for literally 3-4 hours afterwards, right? Like we just sat there, got a fire going, jumped in the pool, and talked, and it was just
awesome.
banter. Yeah. It was fun. It was awesome. It's a refreshing thing to get when you're locked in a routine of keeping your. I'm a serious guy. Look at this guy. I got to be serious at times. So when you have to always kind of keep your routine and almost not your guard up, but you got to be careful of what you do, what you say, and when you're societal's terms. They're not our terms; it's societal terms. When JP comes over, it's like all bets are off. We hang out, we goof off, we freaking laughed for hours, we sang songs. It was just a fun night, and if that's gonna happen every week, man, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and that's something that I've been missing.
The camaraderie about it, really.
That's
honestly,
one of the biggest now. Yeah, it's something that I'm going to give you like that. That is something that's definitely missing from Vegas, and not at any fault of the people, but
right.
The
What they bring,
and the respect that everything is available all the time. Everybody has a different thing that's more
their
important to them in Vegas,
that's
and everybody's on a different schedule
to make money and bring people into to be an attraction instead of be homey and family and enjoy each other.
Exactly. So and to answer Ricky, yes, I will definitely come get a hot buttered lobster roll. Roger, I will hang out with you anytime you want. Obviously, you know that. And Del, anytime you want to bowl while I'm home, man, I'm game. Like I said, I work graveyard now, and anybody that's ever worked graveyard knows sleeping is fucked.
Pretty much.
No matter what. And unless you really, really hate daytime,
because your body doesn't, your body is responsive to the sun and the daylight. We're like chimps, man. We're not too far off. So
Exactly. So I'm pretty much free to bowl anything at any time as long as it doesn't go past 10 p.m. and there's Wi-Fi wherever I am. So
my bad.
Doyle, good to see you, man.
Oh, Doyle's rule.
No, that is professional wrestler Doyle Irons. You guys should have a combo after this.
I know
that's right. I forgot.
My bad. I went to Taco Bell tonight.
Surprise.
And my wife put in the mobile order, but she put in the wrong location. So we got
so that $327 order went to some other Taco Bell? Holy shit.
Well, thankfully you can cancel the order. But what I was really more pissed about was they had volcano tacos at the other location, and that's a limited item that they took off the menu like 5 years ago for whatever reason.
Is that a demonstrative term for what they do on the exit also? Like, that has to be like an innuendo.
Oh, God, yeah. No, it's
or I should say an innuendo instead of an innuendo.
It goes out the same way it goes
or
in.
outuendo.
But, so when we changed it back to the correct location, they didn't have them. I was so fucking looking forward to it. I was very disheartened.
My God,
That's very
that is bad. Man.
that
I'm
kind of
sorry.
ruined the mood for dinner.
I mean, think about how bad the Taco Bell thought when they were like, "Man, we had a guy spending $287 here, and now he's at the wrong spot."
It's true, and it's
So,
gone. Doyle's right.
Totally.
12-pack of tacos like $20,
bitch.
dude.
I
For a
honestly
family
don't
of
know.
three,
And if you Postmate it or
Right.
you Uber
Yes,
Eats it, it's
absolutely.
like
I'm
fucking
being
35.
family
more
of
of a
three.
shill, but because I've had Taco Bell a few times and it's actually really good, so I'm just
It
kind
is,
of
yeah.
running with the theme of the show at this point. But like, I don't blame you for that.
Ironically, it's one of the healthier
true.
fast food
Honestly, it
Technically,
options.
it's chicken. Technically, I don't know
It
what the
is.
beef
It's
is.
chicken.
Maybe it is, but
Mhm.
I think it is. I'm
And
not
beef.
sure, but it resembles
The
it.
beef is mixed with something like oats or something. It's not 100%.
Well, no,
beef,
they have
but,
to make it. They have
anyway.
to grow it basically, or something like that. I think.
Yeah.
But
Johnny, anything bad that happened this week? I know you're in a really good mood. So
Yeah, my bad was I turned on a classic rock station on the way home.
Yes, John.
Yesterday I was in the Scranton area, and the song that came on was "When I Come Around" by Green Day, and I was really disheartened by the fact that they would include that on a like.
Wait
I
a
thought
second.
the Rolling
They should
Stones and
put
the
that with
Doors were classic
AC/DC
rock.
and freaking Black Sabbath, and then
This was on like 104.3 K Rock. Yeah, they put on "When I Come Around" by Green Day.
Like,
I'm waiting for next week for them to put on like
the '90s is classic now.
That's why I said
you're not
it's my
realizing
bad
your
because I
demise.
think
Gotcha.
it's like I'm almost 40 and Green Day is considered
20-something
classic
years
rock
old.
right now. It
Yeah.
was disheartening to me,
No, I
so I'm
gotcha.
giving
I
it.
gotcha.
I'm
I
giving
thought
it
Almost
that.
30 years
station
old.
screwed
No, I
something
mean
up.
it's true.
It
Think
still
about this.
doesn't
Leave It to
belong,
Beaver
though.
came out. Leave It to Beaver came out in the 50s. It's almost
Yeah.
like 80 years old. Like,
Yes, that makes
right.
sense to me. My dad came out in 1947
But-
and he's almost 80, and he
How
still to this day
but there
talks
was
about
I
the show
saw
"Leave It to
something.
Beaver."
Check
So I
this
get
out, and
that.
it said like the same amount of years from 1930 to 1980 is what it is from 1980 to now, and I was like, oh
Fucked.
shit,
That's so fucked.
that's real. Like
That's
19.
so.
I mean, no, we're
Not quite.
Well,
no, but
1930 to
we're
80 is
right. We're
50
just
years.
under it.
We're not quite
about
there
5
yet.
years off. We're about 5
We're
years
right
off.
around the corner, though.
You're close.
I
That's
think
sad.
it was like
so
1938 they used. They purposely put something in the 30s, and I was like,
Right.
oh man.
Yeah, like Doyle said, it's like hearing NWA and Tupac on fucking on an
Like,
old
let's bring
school.
it back to
Like
the day.
like in Vegas, it's 100.5. It's Vegas's best throwbacks, and you're listening to Tupac and shit. You're listening to like "Victory" from the original Puff Daddy and
so
Biggie
insane,
album.
dude.
Like
It's so insane.
Do you want to tell me your guys is good or bad, or do you want to
do
put
that.
up
Yeah,
my
definitely do
ugly?
that because that's a major faux paux.
Guys, everybody watching in the chat, this is from Union County, Illinois.
And
This
not
is
from
for
my
their
scrapbook.
state fair. This is the logo that they chose for the state fair.
Are those hay bales?
Now-
Is that what they're supposed to be?
Maybe,
I don't wanna- I don't
it's
wanna
the
make
greatest
assumptions
state fair you've ever
about
been
this.
to. So maybe you should try it out.
It looks like a really badass silo or water tower with some big ass barrels of hay. Yeah, I get it. That's exactly what it looks like, Union County.
The positioning is now.
Awesome.
So I had a.
And not to mention that they somehow figured out a way to incorporate the straggly ends of the hay to make it look like it's not necessarily groomed.
Like, let's make
You know?
sure, like, it's a guy who he just
I
trims a
mean,
little bit.
we obviously know that it's most likely a Jewish fair,
Right.
hence
The
the
hood,
top of the
the
tip.
true
You catch my
hood.
drift. There's a little snip on the top there, you know. So yeah, so congrats to Union County, Illinois
Nothing
Fair for
does
having
compare.
the greatest logo ever. I hope if anybody goes
So
there,
here,
find me a
what
T-shirt.
I don't get is, and I mentioned this before, like somebody drew that and was like, "Hey guys,
Look at Doyle wrote.
here's this little logo I have for the fair. You know, this beautiful fair that we have probably every year." And then there should be a committee. Now, even if it got past the first guy, he was like, "Oh, that's cool. Let me bring it to the committee." What happened in that room with the committee when they're trying to finalize all this?
Did they have to vote on
And they
this?
were
Like,
okay, does
Right.
this look like Farmville or does it look like
you
Cock
hit-
and Balls? And they were like, Farmville, we're good.
Oh, you hit the nail on the head.
Which head? I'm
the thing
looking
that
at two.
I most relate.
Nothing compares, by the way. I mean, they're right.
The thing I most relate to that was I remember this moment like it was yesterday. It was probably I was 10 or 11 years old, and we were driving down Route 1 heading towards Edison from Carolier Lanes. And at that time, there was a Bennigan's Tavern that sat right next to a Fuddruckers burger place. And I remember my dad driving and looking at Fuddruckers and saying, I wonder what came in second. Like, all right, guys, it's between this or Fuddruckers. And everybody in the room said, it's got to be Fuddruckers.
Like that's what we're going to go with.
Anyway, I actually think it's awesome. It's just it's a little.
That was a great
I had my go-to moment
song.
also. If you guys remember when John Daly was really still moosing the ball, when he made his like first comeback in like 01-ish, he even won a tournament in like 02, and he was sponsored by Trim Spa, and he was just so damn big, and I'm like.
That's already funny.
What was the board meeting like? Okay, golf is taking a revolutionary turn. Ernie Els is in shape. Tiger Woods is in shape. These guys are like athletes now. Who are we going to get to represent us? You know, the weight loss machine. John Daly. Now again,
John Daly.
What happened in the room when they put up the film strip of John Daly blowing a butt, shirtless, playing golf with no shoes? Whether they were mesmerized by his long ball style or it still doesn't fit the product. So I don't know how much money, and they're out of business, by the way. Trim Spas, or because they were selling ephedra too. So,
well, what Roger said is, I mean, I really do miss Anna Nicole Smith. She was definitely my like top 2 women that have ever walked this
even
planet.
that?
Okay, I'm just gonna. And speaking. No, it didn't matter to me.
But do you remember the show they did?
Stunning.
They did the reality. Okay, all right. Because my ex,
of course.
Too, so I watched. It.
Yeah.
All right.
Troy, we bragged about you for about you should hit rewind because we bragged about you and defended you from the imbecile of the week.
Shakira knows you
for about
Troy.
the first 33 minutes of this segment. So if you want something to look forward to before you go out and bowl your next 12 games tomorrow. But everybody in the chat was sending all of their kudos for your recent win in Morgantown.
How about the loyalty of Troy mid-tournament
performance
in a hotel room probably somewhere? Just got some hot chick to just go buy him dinner probably because he's such a stud. And now he's here in the freaking chat saying like, "Hey guys, what's going on? We can't pump this guy up more."
Perfect. That's like the perfect theme song for Troy right now.
Oh, this one too.
But that's all right, Troy. That's all right. Well, Johnny, give him some words of advice. Apparently, are we not up for live scoring? What happened? Did we?
No. I watched the second set and it was good, Troy. But I think you guys bowled on the burn. I don't think that they re-oiled. And Troy, tell everybody in the chat because you switched when you got way in and bowled. He's saying he bowled poorly. He bowled 190, 190, 2-0, and then jumped way in. I'm assuming because the fronts started hooking so much. That you switched to something black. Was it an NV Tour? Was it a Stealth? Was it a Stealth Pro? What were you throwing? And he closed 230, 230, 230, won with 2 of those 230s, and then ran into Pete Weber in game 6.
We need Marvin in the chat one day.
So it's
not much you can do about that 300 either.
We need to trot it off from Chris Mansilla and Golf.
Chris would love if Marvin showed up in the chat one day.
Stealth solid is what he threw.
It was. I figured it was a solid sim. With a little bit of pop because it wasn't changing crazy direction, but it gave you just an extra scoot through that front. But you were throwing it over those heads, man, and it was actually, I thought, super impressive to watch and regrettably kind of cool to watch because I'm used to watching you strike 10 times a game. But yeah, you grinded your way to 100 over and still got a couple wins out of it. And we all know you're going to mow them down tomorrow. Just take care of that leg and everything else you're doing. You're obviously doing right because
and take it easy on Pete. I mean, he's really old. Like really, really old.
Go at him.
Well, Pete bowled 300 against Troy because he needed to, and he knew who he was up against.
So you're absolutely right. He had to bring his A game when he saw Troy walk on. So
that's what it's going to be, though. No, totally, you guys are joking. Totally. That's literally what it's going to be now. It's not going to be like, oh man, I got this. It's going to be the guy who's the hot guy now, man. Who's the guy with the hot putter, and that's Troy.
Mansilla. By the way, Chris, by the way, I'm back east, man. I got to come check out your place. Shoot me a message in Messenger, and I'll give you my
I'm
cell.
praying to everything that's holy that we get Troy and Pete in the finals. I just want to see that. That's just, I'm getting hard just thinking about it right now. I mean, it's just.
I just hope Pete doesn't fry out and punch a hole in Bud Moore's wall.
He's got such little hands, though. Come on. I mean, I know he's a fiery guy, but he's 110
it would make
pounds.
a little hole. And yeah,
in
Chris,
freaking
I'd
2
be
minutes.
more than happy to do it.
Mr. Humble Troy says these guys are so good. They are, Troy, and so are you. God damn it.
Which is one of the reasons why we were talking about the success of the year and the tear that he's on, because it is really just look at the top 24 every week.
Yeah.
Just look at the guys in the top 10 on the senior tour every week. Those guys in the top 10 on the senior tour every week could make TV on the regular.
I was going to say that earlier,
single.
Johnny. Like Troy could go on the national tour right now and rip ass and just, and take on the best that are 20, 30 years younger than him. I mean, he's that good right now.
Yeah, sure is. Rob, we are right at 1 hour. So why don't you go take care of the children, guys? As always, thank you for tuning in to our show.
Good run, Chris.
You can catch us on Twitter at Rad Rob Gaming, at the Dr Ocho, or at JPJR07. And before you leave, click that like button. It really helps. The comments always help because
put a little
the comments
review
are
in
great.
there. Give us a 5-star because we are all 5 stars. So are my army buddies.
Lovely arms. Speaking of which, that's where I'm heading now. I'm going to Brown's gym to lift with all the airlines guys. So,
thank you everybody for showing up tonight. Troy, sorry you were late.
Troy, go get him tomorrow, buddy.
Good luck, Troy. We're all pulling for you. Everybody here.
Right now, good luck.
Straight Up Nation is.
This is the Shrine to Troy show.
We have to. He's that good.
Yeah. Of course. If I'd have realized that Virginia was only a 4-hour drive from here, I would have been there for my 2 days off, but I'm a schmuck and never even thought
that whole navigator thing is really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, the maps and stuff is.
Part of me is, to tell you the truth, kind of considering, it's really only a 4-hour drive, and I could technically drive there, watch, and get back before work at 10 p.m. tomorrow. If I get a wild hair up my ass,
you're a little west. You'd have to go 81, but maybe depending on where he is in Virginia. No,
it can't be longer than 4 hours to get to Grainsville from here.
If he's west, it's a straight shot. If he's east, you got to climb across a little bit of grain and get on 95. So, but don't worry about that.
I could have been with my fat
Faja. All right, guys.
All right.
Thank everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for showing tonight.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you next week.
Coming by. And thanks for stopping by, San Diego. Go fuck
you, Shira.
At Ritual, we know what goes into the holiday season. The potluck planning, the gift giving, the spreadsheets. So this new year, take a moment for yourself with science-backed support that puts you first. So whether you're focusing on supporting foundational health with a clean vegan multivitamin or supporting your gut health with Symbiotic Plus, do it with 30% off your first month at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.